let's talk, man. So this guy made a great comment. I put the post on the screen. I'll try to remember. And basically, what the post said is that what the post said was Megan Thee Stallion basically said, you know, Klay Thompson was the first guy that treated her right or treated her nice or something like that. And the guy subtweeted it, and he says, you know, that you don't want to be that guy. But check out the music entertainment playlist, real one-on-one playlist. He said you don't want to be the first guy. Damn, they got a whole poster talking about Detroit Lions got robbed, hilarious, versus Steelers. But you don't want to be the first guy to treat her right. Now, have y'all seen these videos of these girls going around saying the first guy that treats you right, coming off a bad relationship or just in general, that's not your soulmate. That's not the guy that you want to be with. You know what I'm saying? That's not it. You know, it's never the first nice guy. And women don't really respect nice guys. In the beginning, they play the role. They're reciprocated, but especially black women, they really don't. Most of them, I see Becky stepping on them too. And you know, they always gonna go back to what they used to. You know, I remember I was going through something. My mom was like, what you think she gonna do? She gonna go back to what she was doing before she met you? I'm like, oh, you know, quite, you know, and you know, for the most part, I believe that is what happened, and not knocking nobody, but that's what it is, bro. Most women that's in their 30s and you the first nice guy to treat me right, they don't like that, bro. Women, especially in the community, and American women, they like to be dogged out. They like to be dogged out. They like to be mistreated. They want a thug that's a gentleman. You know, they want this reformed Pookie, you know, born again Christian Baptist, you know, Nation of Islam reborn. They want that. That's just what they want. And women don't really like to be treated nice. You know, they like to be treated correctly. And correctly will surprise you, man. Basically what correctly is, they'll tell you, man, you know, he'll check me if I need to. He'll put me in my place. All the things you basically were sworn to avoid. All the confrontation, you don't want to be confrontational. Don't get in a relationship with Americanized women, you know. If you got an issue with confrontation, being confrontational, calling out the bullshit, you know, being meticulous about certain things, especially in the beginning, it ain't gonna work. If you too agreeable, it ain't gonna work. You'll think it when you're young, you're a child, you'll think that, oh, this is easy. All he has to do is this, or all she has to do, and it doesn't work that way. Some people just want to be difficult. And if you work in sales or you work with people or dealt with people in any type of capacity, some people just like to be difficult. You go out to eat with the aunties or your cousins or females, and you know it's a little cheap spot, but then they want 5-star service at a cheap spot. They just want to be difficult. And, you know, that's just what it is. So you know who you dealing with. They want the lemon sprinkled with a little bit of salt. They want salt on the rim, just a little bit of salt on the rim on their water and all that stuff. Man, we all been there before. We all been there before. Or dealing with sales, or dealing with a woman that's just naturally difficult, or dealing with a man that's just not. And some people may have had a bad day. That's a fact. They may have just had a fucked up day. And they might be, but it's some people who make their mission, they're just meticulous and difficult. In relationship, women are the ultimate perfectionists. Let me tell y'all that again. Women are the ultimate perfectionists. They want you to be perfect in relationship. And perfect don't mean nice, hold the door open, say yes, don't tell me no. Don't get that confused in a relationship. Sometimes you got to tell them no. Sometimes you got to deny. Sometimes you got to check them. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes you got to talk about the tough shit. Sometimes you got to, tell them, no, I'm chilling. Or no, this is what we doing tonight. You got to take lead. You can't just be, being able to be walked off. And who knows? Klay could be doing those things behind the scenes. You know what I'm saying? Klay could be doing those things behind the scenes. You know what I mean? But, they just want to be treated correctly, not nice by a nice guy. But when she says shit, and some guys, I guarantee you, some women who've been through the ringer with bad guys who just keep picking bad guys, and they could be, stand-up good women, and they just keep getting in a relationship with bad guys, and then the good guy treat them the right way, and it may work. And it may work. Word to the mother. Shout out to my what up, Henry? Where you been at, Henry, bro? I gotta get in contact with my brother Henry, man. And Kobe, what's up, son? But yeah, there are stories like that. There might be women that go out there and have their fun and get their buns tossed. Real talk. And then they finna met a nice guy and they make it settle in. I ain't saying that that's gonna happen for you or me, or it has or hasn't happened. You know, some women probably naturally get tired of getting dogged out. Or you might have women who usually, you know, might be their first real relationship. It didn't go that way, and now this is how I'm supposed to be treated. Most of the times you get women like that when they get older. When you hear this from a woman in their 30s or up, it's crazy. Because when you be around teenage girls, they know everything. They got the answers to everything. And later down the road, they would admit, like, yo, you know, I don't have the answers. Later down the road, they admit I was wrong or I didn't know. And it was like, we tried to tell you, but, you know, some people, come on now. Why are we stopping at a green light, homeboy? Come on. You know, but some of us, you know, or, you know, some of them, you know, they can grow to learn. But for the most part, I get it. I feel them. I feel what this dude said. You don't want to be the first woman. And eventually what most women do, the majority of women, they revert back to what they know. Let me say that first and foremost. A lot of women revert back to what they know. That's what it is. A lot of women revert back to what they know or what they knew. They miss that toxicity. They miss that friction. And you got to have friction, bro. You got to challenge. Unless you got one of those unicorns. But women that has a long history and that's like 2 or more of those type of, or that's all she knew, especially past 1, bro, you just have your fun with them and toss them. And I believe I think the word is just getting out. I think the word is getting out. I believe the word is getting out. And now you see men are no longer responding to women. Men are no longer playing those games with women. You know, I think, you know, guys are taking the advice. And I seen the clip with Wale, and he was on Club Shay Shay, and he pretty much was saying that, you know, I don't do the trick culture, but, you know, I just, you know, basically want to get to know the girl and blase this, blase that. And I don't want to sound all red pill or nothing. Like, dude, ain't nothing wrong. You know, I ain't saying that you should or shouldn't sound be red pill. But I don't think it's nothing wrong with just, you know, just saying what you believe in as a man. So many men are scared to speak what they believe because it may sound red pill or it may sound black pill, purple pill, a whip appeal. It may sound like that, but in reality, that's just what it is. If you don't say it, then nobody knows it. If you don't say it, then somebody else, it doesn't resonate. We got a Philadelphia fan from. He got the Phillies and Eagles. But a Michigan play. But yeah, if you don't speak up, that's how a lot of this shit started. One man had enough plight, or not a plight, but had enough courage on the platform to say, I've been through this. If you notice, if you admit something to somebody, especially another man, that's embarrassing to speak on, he like, yeah, man, I remember this one time I went through this, that, and the third. Like, bro, like, it's embarrassing, but I'm telling y'all, that's when people make fun of people on the internet or make fun of what they've been in a relationship. Every dude that been in a serious relationship, you know, they simped. Everybody simped. Everybody simped. Everybody been played. You know, it's kind of like talking to some of these niggas, like talking like niggas who talking about they never lost a fair one. I ain't never lost a fair one. Of course, I've lost my fair share of fair ones. I won my fair share, but I lost my fair share. One more than I lost. Walked away from some because, you know, you got to know when to hold them, when to fold them. When you got something, I ain't never been played. I ain't never, you know, they scream this and they have. And they've been simping and begging, and every man done been there before. And what you find out is if you got to be a salesman to a woman, she recreational use only, if that. You know what I'm saying? That's just a good word. She's recreational use only. And once you master that, you know what I'm saying? Once you kind of go through a few of them and you find out it doesn't work, it don't work. You work the true nature of women. It's like when we was younger, we just thought we was the only ones that wanted to clap cheeks, and women, once you think about more, the women were more aggressive. And I have a theory that I feel like more women have took a young man's virginity, or young women, than women of the men of the woman's age that took their virginity. Now, I'm not saying these older guys wasn't running through these women and fucking with their mind and shit. Definitely, I definitely agree with that. But when you talking about on the same level, same age group, a lot of the women my age group was aggressive. Grabbing your shit and wanting to go clap cheeks and stuff. They made the first move. And they always make the first move with the intent, young women, of still having their innocence. See, she already know what's up. Come on, bro. Like, why would you pull up right there in turn? But she want to preserve the innocence. She'll be a freak for you. And what they do understand with guys their age or younger guys, they kind of some OT talk. They do understand that we gonna run our mouth, but nobody's gonna believe you. You didn't do this with Tasha. You didn't do this with Becky. You didn't do this with Susie Ann. Nobody's gonna believe you, Tyrell. You know what I'm saying? Two of you, nobody's gonna believe you. Gonna believe me. But to you, she'll be this little, freak, or she'll be this little action thing, But what you learn, and what I always learn, I always kept it P. I kept it to myself. I had niggas, girls pull up, sister, you did this to myself. Like, nah, bro, you got the wrong guy. That's just always been my thing. I already learned, if I be quiet, then my reputation gonna get out there anyway, regardless if it's good or bad. If even I be quiet, women gonna tell other women. And my girl had me watching Pretty Little Liars and shit. And I'm telling you, you can learn a lot from these chick shows, bro. Especially y'all young men, or it's a lot of men that's still struggling. I learned a lot from that show, as far as how women really operate, on what level they operate. So I think a lot of dudes don't really understand like how women talk and how they gossip and how sloppy they are with getting caught. They're very sloppy. They're very sloppy with getting caught. They're very sloppy on they pimping. First thing they do is tell their little girlfriend. Their girlfriend tell somebody else. So you ain't gotta say you bust down, Joyce in the boys' locker room, or you bust her down at your crib after school. She's gonna tell it for you. She's gonna tell everybody for you. That's why it's always important to keep it P. It's always a tomorrow. And sometimes it get hard. Sometimes your reputation, something may happen, or you always got to keep it P and just always know it's a tomorrow. And it get hard. Sometimes a lot of dudes ain't gonna want to admit this. A lot of dudes be wanting to end it. A lot of us get to that point where you just think, hey man, I have so much stress. Is I better if I just clip these wings and send myself to the upper room? A lot of guys go through that. But you sleep on it, you keep it player, you think about it, and you just get to work and you live to see another day. But it is what it is, or it is what it ain't. I do appreciate y'all for tapping in. Hit the link in the description. Join the Patreon, the link tree, join Patreon, X, Facebook, Instagram, the whole nine. Peace.